Welcome to By the Way with Beth and Stacey. I am Beth Cooper.
I'm Stacey Earlywine, and we got knocking on spring. Now, yesterday was a little chilly, but today I thought it was a little bit warmer today.
It's Silas informed me that today it's going to get up to like in the 70s.
Okay.
It wasn't when he left for school, but that didn't change the fact that he wore shorts to school, even though it was only like 47 degrees outside. He assured me that he would be fine because he had a hoodie on, and it was going by the time he got out of school, it was going to be in the 70s. So I couldn't really argue with that.
Yeah.
And he's old enough to make his own decisions. If he's cold all day, well, it's his own fault.
It's his own fault.
He probably won't do it tomorrow.
Kids run different than we do. I don't remember being cold as a child.
I was always cold as a child.
Really? I don't ever remember. Kids are just weird. You go swimming, it'd be 50 degrees outside. Your teeth are chattered, your lips are purple, and you'd be like, I'm not cold.
Yeah, I do remember. I always wanted to swim no matter how cold it was. I will say that. But I can remember our school was very well air conditioned. And I didn't like in the months like when you first come back to school and it's still hot outside, I didn't like to wear shorts to school even though it was hot outside. I wanted to wear pants because it was so cold inside. Well,
I'm the generation ahead of you. We didn't have air conditioning. So
that's
I don't remember
sad.
it ever being. Yeah, and at the time when I was in junior high, grade school and junior high, you couldn't wear shorts.
Oh.
You had to wear pants. You couldn't wear shorts to school.
Yeah.
Which everything's changed on that front. But yeah, so it's one of those things that.
Yeah. Now you can pretty much wear whatever. There's sort of some dress codes in place, but then there's other times that people wear stuff and I'm like, how are they not getting dress coded? Like that's crazy, but whatever. I'm sure there's a reason. But.
Yeah.
Anywho,
but yeah, so I don't know. I think we're gonna have an early spring. I
think you're right.
Winter's not. I think winter's done. I think we might get some 40s, but we're not gonna see any more snow. I don't think snow is gonna happen. It has snowed in March before the end of March, but I don't think it's
snowed in April
now.
before too.
Yeah, it's not happening. I think it's gonna be an early winter. I'm looking forward to it. I think we're done with the winter because we got hit really hard there for a while. It was super cold.
Yeah, no, I think we'll have one more little cold spell, but I don't think it'll last.
No,
and it definitely won't amount to much. That's my.
I don't think we're gonna get under 40 again, so I don't think there'll be any more snow. But when is the? Because you do have the blackberry winter though.
Yeah,
if we don't have blackberry winter, will we not have blackberries?
I don't know anything about that, but my daughters both have birthdays this coming week, and there has been a lot of snow on their birthdays in past years. So if it doesn't snow in the next week or so, it probably isn't gonna.
Yeah, I think it's done.
That's mine.
Just a few years.
I'm not a meteorologist. In fact, I think the world would be better without meteorologists. Do you agree or no?
No.
I don't want to know the weather every day. Just surprise me. I don't want forecasts on Monday for how bad a storm is going to be on Friday, and then put everybody into a panic all week about what's happening on Friday. And it's like, today's Monday. Calm down. Enjoy your day. Don't get so worked up about the weather, people.
Well, that's because you got to make a run on milk and bread. Calm down, Beth.
I'm like,
I do like meteorologists.
I just don't want to know. Don't tell me. I don't care.
You just want to be surprised?
Yes, who cares? It'll happen. You can't change it.
No,
what you going to do about it?
You might be able to. No, you need to get in the basement.
I think if you look out the window and you're like, dang, it's storming, I guess I'll go downstairs. I mean, I don't know.
I don't look at it all the time. I don't look every day. I'll look at like the forecast and think, just for planting and that type of thing. But no, I don't have a problem with meteorologists.
Yeah.
They do what they do. I do miss Martha Yockey.
Yeah, I've seen videos
Kevin
of her.
Orbert.
Kevin Orbert, I used to always watch
him.
when we lived in Horde. We had him, and he always did this thing, would be like school kids and stuff in the morning would be like, what's the weather going to be, Kevin? Or something like that. Do you remember that?
Well, when that storm that came through the other day or whatever, and man, did we get lucky.
Yeah.
Split right around us.
Sure did.
Devin and Destiny were at the house, and we were watching it, and Devin pulled up this weather guy, and it almost was too much because he was clicking, he was watching everything. So you got the little guy's face over here, and then all this stuff, and he's clicking here, and there's a tornado here. But he was showing everything. But it was kind of cool to watch that storm. It's like, okay, so any minute now it's gonna, and it just went right. It was shocking, which I feel like that's happened the last few times. I kind of find weather fascinating. I kind of like it. I like anticipation of a storm, but I like storms.
I like storms too.
I like storms.
I just don't need to know about them a week ahead of time.
Yeah.
I don't need you to throw everyone around me into a panic.
Yeah. Oh, people panic.
Can't change
anyway.
it.
They just panic. But people are stupid.
Yeah. Anyway, we're going to change the subject before we elaborate on that. So, anyway, what else is new?
Oh my goodness!
Track season, that's starting.
That's right.
Chris is running track for Flora, and that's started, or for track meet start
Volleyball
this
should
week.
be ending soon.
Yeah, junior high volleyball
Junior high
is
volleyball will be
ending.
done.
Yep.
And track hat, but the boys baseball, high school baseball now.
Yes, boys high
That
school.
at the end, it's at the end of the year, isn't it?
Yeah, in Flora it is. I believe North Clay has
Yeah.
2 baseball seasons, it's fall and spring. But Flora just does the spring baseball season, and that's in full swing. Got my little pun there.
Is Silas playing?
No, because that's only high school.
Oh, high school.
Junior
I get
high.
so confused. Everything.
Keep your sports and your school straight, because the junior high,
I can't.
the Florida junior high ball season is in the fall. Mm-hmm. The high school's in the spring.
Yeah. Well, my last son graduated in 2013, so that's what.
Yeah,
How many years is that? 12 years.
yeah, you're out of the loop.
Yeah, I
man.
have no clue when anything else is. I
Yeah.
just know when volleyball is because Jim's in volleyball and we have it in the fall and the spring, and I'm ready for it to be done.
Yeah,
I get so tired of it after a while.
Yes.
But basketball's the total worst. I hated basketball. Oh, God. The season went
yeah.
on for years,
yeah.
months.
That's how I felt about high school volleyball season last year. It just went on and on.
It's
and
only
on
like
and
2
on.
months, but geez, basketball starts in November, doesn't it, until like the end of February,
Yeah.
sometimes March.
Yeah, that's crazy. Track season is very short, and
Yeah.
most of the meets get rained out.
That is true. Oh, my
So-
boys, I think Mac ran track and Connor was a shot. Track's my least, I don't like track at all. Because it's just like you go and it's just like,
It is a spring
Done.
sport, but most of those track meets are freezing cold.
They are
I mean,
cold.
you sit out there in the bleachers with blankets and your hood and your coat and your gloves and your scarf, and you're like, ooh,
Yeah.
and you sit there and your child is competing for like 30 seconds, and then it's done.
well, the worst part was when Connor was doing shot put. And of course, it's like in a whole other county line, of course, we got the track here, so all the things are happening around here. Okay, so shot put and discus, you're in that field.
Oh, right. It's a hike to go to wherever they're throwing that at.
So then you you stand there, he spins around, throws it, they measure it, and I leave.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah, that was always one of those that was like, oh my gosh.
yeah, well, I never really know when Carissa's running, and if she does more than one event, it's kind of spread out, and so you sit there in the bleachers and freeze.
Yeah.
And then so what she does is short, but whatever, it's fine.
Yeah.
She loves it. It's her favorite sport, and so
It's one of those, like when
It is what
Connor
it
was
is.
playing football, you were, oh boy, when football started, you were melting. Then by the time football got over, you were freezing.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And then baseball's the opposite. When they were playing baseball, then at the end of the year, you'd be freezing and then melting. It's just like,
well, that is the good thing about basketball. It's all inside, so you don't have the weather
and that's
to
Illinois
contend with.
weather. You really don't know about when we go back to the weather.
Yeah, you just don't know.
Uh-uh.
You just don't know.
You have
So, no.
all the seasons in 1 minute.
Yeah, so we have track coming up. We have birthday season coming up, and we just
Now, wait a minute.
the play. Hmm.
So do you still celebrate Malia's birthday even though she's married?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely.
I thought they all got shut off.
No,
What are you doing?
we're
So-
cooking steaks and having her and her husband over for supper.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
it'll be delicious, and do a little cake and ice cream. And
Yeah.
she's still my baby. She still comes over for supper and
Well,
dessert
they
and-
never completely
well,
leave.
right, but no, we like birthdays at our house.
I like
we
birthdays.
celebrate
We
birthdays big.
celebrated big birthdays when the boys were little.
Mm-hmm.
Both sides of the family would be there. I'd usually make lasagna, and we'd have goodie bags and a pinata and games and prizes and
Yes.
fed everybody and cake and ice cream.
Uh-huh.
Oh yeah, birthdays were big. I like
Yeah.
big birthdays.
Yeah, and my girls are 4 days apart, 4 years and 4 days. So we
Do you
just
do
do
them
everything
together?
all at
You do-
once. Well,
Yeah.
we've done it different ways over the years, but
Well, when they're little, it's one thing, but now
this
it's
year
different.
it's all together because of schedules, because of track meets
Mm-hmm.
and things that we have going on the weekend, and Malia's schedule and Alex's schedule, and it's like we found one night where everyone could get together. That's
it's
right
difficult.
smack in between their 2 birthdays, and that is when we're going to get together, and that's that.
It gets difficult. I
Yeah.
mean, once they get older and they get spouses and that type of stuff.
And Silas was due this week. I don't know what I would do if I would have had all 3 of them the same week, but he
Well, because Krista gets
Came early,
she
but-
gets her license, right?
yes, she's turning 16.
Now, I wish her birthday was on Monday when they're closed.
You're so mean. She loves Carissa, but yeah, she just wishes the worst for her. What kind of person does that?
I just think it's funny when kids can't wait to get their license and their birthdays fall on Monday. I think mine did so I'm bitter.
Yeah, mine didn't.
Mine did.
Mine didn't, and I didn't have. You probably had to like go to the driver's license facility and take a test when you turned 16.
I think I did.
I was some of the first classes that didn't have to do that because our driver's ed teacher was allowed to test us. So I had already taken the test with my driver's ed teacher so that whenever I showed up on my birthday at the driver's license facility, I just had to sign a few papers and they took my picture and handed me a card.
Really? Mm-hmm. I don't remember if I don't know. I don't
and
remember,
it's good to do it that way. You're more relaxed with the person that taught that you've already been driving with, and especially when you're 16. And if you're a female 16 and you have to get in the car with a man that is an older man that you don't know, it can make at that age you're just not as confident, and it can mess with your nerves.
Now I don't ever remember driving with anybody. Our driving was done, but I do think I had to take a test. I think I had to take tests, but I didn't have to take a driving test. I don't think. Boy, I don't know. It's been a long time.
Yeah.
I don't remember. I don't know. I don't remember. My driver's ed teacher was Mr. McGrew, so it was great.
Uh-huh.
Of course, I'd been still in my mom's car for 3 years. I've been driving since I was 13.
Yeah, I started driving when I was 13,
I love to drive.
too.
I've always been a driver.
Yeah, I would drive my mom's car. Like, we had some, like a great big huge backyard at our house. So if the grass was dry, I would drive the car in the yard and just way up into our back pasture and around. It was all real pretty smooth, and it had a little bridge that went over a little ditch creek thing, and I would just drive. Gas was cheap, and I learned to turn well and everything, and then I'd go take it out in the country and drive it around.
I started driving a 1972 what was that little car called? Duster.
Okay.
Remember the Duster? No power, nothing.
Yeah, it was probably hard
and
to
it
steer.
started with I went in town. I started going out around the block.
Uh-huh.
Then it got to be this block. Then it got to be the whole south end of town. Now I'm going across the tracks. I did it for years. I drove that car for years and nobody knew it. Until Kai Hempill caught me and turned me in, but I was about 15 and taking driver's ed. Oh, no,
That's hilarious.
I took the car. I'm like, yeah,
my mom didn't care that I drove, and she was like, yeah, just, stay off the highway.
Yeah.
And I drove all around. Me and my friend. I had a friend that lived in Bible Grove, and she'd take her dad's car, and we would do the same thing, and
I'm still
drive all around the back roads between Horden and Bible Grove, and we were both like 13.
Yeah.
13, 14.
I like to drive. Look, I'm nosy. I drive. I take off and drive, especially like now that it's going to be warmer weather and I have my convertible. Oh, I'm a driver. I drive around town. We have a golf cart. Oh, I go through alleys and everything. If you see me going through your alley, I'll just lie and tell you that I lost my dog.
So let's talk about the alleys for just a minute and Flora.
Because I love going down alleys. Do you go down alleys?
I do go down alleys, and I have a confession to make.
You're a peeping Tom too?
No. But when I was in high school, we would do some alley tripping. We weren't doing anything we shouldn't, but you know how people would go cruise downtown Flora? Well, sometimes we'd get bored and we'd be like, let's just explore the rest of the town. Yeah. So we would just drive up and down streets that we didn't live on, and then if there was an alley, we'd be like, well, where does this go? We like found all kinds of like, oh, okay, well, that's where that's just where you learn your street names, your directions, who lives where. And I mean, we weren't doing anything bad, but it was just like, okay, well, this is interesting. Like, I feel like I'm almost invisible on the alleyways. I think that is still going on today. And I am a little more, back then I wasn't concerned about it at all because we were innocent and there wasn't anybody else in the alleys and we weren't doing anything. But nowadays, there are people walking the alleys of Flora carrying backpacks all the time.
What?
Do you not have backpack people in your neighborhood?
I don't have an alley. My house is.
You don't have an alley?
I don't have an alley.
Okay, so in my neighborhood, there's alleys. Every street has an alley. And there's backpack people, we call them. There's one guy in particular I call backpack guy. He might be watching the show. I think he's fine. He is on a regular schedule of when he goes past my house. I believe he walks to work. That's fine. I don't have an issue with that. The ones I worry about are the people that are cutting through my alley that I have never seen before in my life.
That kind of freaks me out a little bit.
And you never see them again. They might pass through 2 or 3 different times and then you never see them again. So they do not live in the area and they are always carrying these massive backpacks that are stuffed full of what? Where are they going and what are they carrying? I need to know. Is it
do need to
drugs?
know, because that's
are they hustling drugs through the alleys of Flora? What's going on, Flora police? Like I like our local police department. I feel like they probably have an eye on these people, and I just am not privy to that information. But
You'd be surprised at how much they do know what's going on.
I do think that this whole town is set up, and probably any other small town is set up with almost secret passageways in a way of these alleyways that no one pays attention to.
Yeah.
Who's on them? They're not policed. A lot of them aren't maintained. Ours is pretty well maintained because a lot of people in our alley have garages, and that's sort of our driveway.
Yeah.
But it's like, why are all these people in the alleys?
Who owns
the city.
The city owns the alleys.
The city owns them, but the city doesn't want to maintain them.
Sure.
Because they don't use them for
Anything
trash.
Yeah.
But no, there's still power lines and stuff back there. I honestly think the city does somewhat maintain them still because they have to. But
Interesting.
Why? I know not everyone has a car, and a lot of people walk to work. I get that. It's these people that you just only see once or twice, and they always have the huge backpacks.
I don't know.
I don't know either. Makes me things that make you go.
No.
Remember that song? Things that make you go.
Oh yeah.
That's a thing that makes me go. What's with the backpack people?
I don't know, but I haven't seen them. But I'm going to be paying attention now.
Start watching them.
I'm going to.
All right, we got an ad for today.
Yeah, this one reminds me. Who do you think would ever wear these clothes? Do you think you can see Jim Earlywine in this outfit?
Yes, Jim Earlywine would totally wear that.
Listen to the headline says jeans that turn a dude into a stud.
I like it.
HIS, jeans and Western shirts. Have you ever heard of HIS?
Nope.
Me neither. But that is a cool picture.
Yeah, I like it.
I do too. I saw that and I thought,
what year do you think that was? Like late 70s?
Oh, it's got to be it's either I would say that's the late 60s going into the 70s.
Okay.
Yeah, because once the late 70s started, you started seeing kind of that 80s, the more hippie. This is definitely a 60s, late 60s, early 70s look.
Okay.
But that one, I love the guy in the middle's hair.
Yes, that's what I was thinking. He's got great hair. Yeah, really great hair.
It'd be neat to see what these guys are doing now.
Yeah.
Whatever happened to him?
They're old,
I don't know.
They're old men. They're sitting at home in their recliners. They're retired.
That turn a dude into a stud.
Yeah, they're sitting at home. They're telling their grandkids, back in the early 70s,
Back in the day,
I was a model.
hot.
I was a model. And their grandkids are like, Papa, you were not.
You were not. You were not, Papa.
I bet.
We need to take a commercial break, and then we will be right back.
We'll be right back.
At your locally owned Napa Auto Parts stores in Flora and Louisville, you can count on experts to have the solutions to keep you running on the road or in the field. More than just your car, the Napa Auto Parts stores in Flora and Louisville carry a large inventory of Napa products for farms, heavy trucks, and just about everything that moves. Experienced associates understand your needs and are ready to help with the perfect part at a great value. That's Napa Know-How at your locally owned Napa Auto Parts stores in Flora and Louisville. Briscoe Surplus Sales on the northeast edge of Flora is your one-stop do-it-all shop. Looking for rugged boots and footwear from great brands like Lacrosse, Rocky, and Carolina? They're there. How about top-notch small engine parts and service? Briscoe Surplus Sales has it. Whether you're wiring your switches or switching your wiring, Briscoe Surplus Sales has the solution and the know-how to help you get the job done right the first time. Briscoe Surplus Sales, your one-stop do-it-all shop.
We like technology at Flora Savings Bank. Here's what you can accomplish in our mobile banking app in less than 30 seconds. See account balances in your transactions, set up an account alert, make a transfer between accounts, get an alert text message about your transfer, pay a bill, turn your debit card off and then back on. It all happens in the palm of your hand with our free My Bank to Go app. Search My Bank to Go in the App Store or Google Play and give mobile banking a try. Flora Savings Bank, member FDIC and equal housing lender.
Welcome back to By the Way with Beth and Stacey. I'm Beth Cooper. That's Stacey Earlywine. She kind of has a little bit of a sore throat and less voice, so I'm going to talk more than she is today.
Yeah.
So,
which doesn't normally happen, and I don't like.
Yeah, it's hard for her to. It's hard for her to be quiet, but we are going to force her. So you might see her do some thumbs up. You might see her do some thumbs down. Some on the money. This is the word on the nose.
And this is when I don't agree.
Yeah. So she's going to be over there miming. Just ignore her. Look at me. I'm going to talk. I'm just teasing. Okay. All right. So today we're going to talk about a local veteran. His name was August Haak Jr., and Haak is spelled Haak. He was a sergeant, and they called him Gussie.
Gussie.
And I think that's so cute.
That is cute.
If I was going to have another little boy, I would name him August, and I would call him Gus.
Gus. It's cute.
So
That
cute.
is cute.
So his classmates were said to say that he was one of the nicest boys you would ever want to meet. Another of his classmates said Gussie was a class officer, a very friendly guy who always had a smile for everyone. In any school activity, be it a play or whatever, you would find Gussie in the middle of it. Okay. He was born in 1926. His parents were August W. and Frances Haak. Gussie was how he was known, and when World War II started, he made the decision to go fight for his country. His dad had fought in World War I. August Haak, the senior. Okay, this August Haak was the junior. Senior had fought in World War I. Junior had admired that about his dad all of his life, and so when World War II started, he graduated from Harder Stanford Township High School, which is Flora High School, in 1943. Right after graduation, he joined the Army. And he went overseas in January of 1945. Now, his dad and mom, August Haak Sr. and his wife, were well-known Flora business people, and they operated the Flora greenhouse for several years. So, just a few episodes ago, we talked about the greenhouse. We talked about the original owners of the greenhouse.
And that's this.
No.
Oh,
These
no.
aren't the other family. Remember, the other family I talked about was now I can't think of which family it was that I talked about. It was just a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
We talked about the original family, but then we skipped over because we were like, we can't remember who's next in the lineup of who's owned the greenhouse over the years. Well, in the 40s, it was this Haak family, Haak, that owned the greenhouse. They operated it for years, and then they also owned two little houses on East 3rd Street that they rented out. And they had two children, August Jr., Gussie, that we're going to talk about, and then his younger sister, Frances. So the thing about the Haak family, the mom and dad, is they didn't live here. I mean, they lived here and ran the greenhouse, but later on they moved away. They're not buried here. So it's not a name that stuck around in the Flora area. So a lot of people might not be familiar with that. I'm assuming I'm saying it right. Haak, it's Haak. It could be Hack. I don't know.
I bet it's
I'm gonna say
right.
Haak. Okay. So in the early 1940s, volunteering to serve in the military was very natural. Gussie was the kind of guy that was definitely going to be the one to sign up. He was not afraid. He was like a go-getter, and he was going to be like, yes, I will do this. He was raised by a military man. So he chose the U.S. Army Air Force. And he served with the 706th Bomber Squadron, the 446th Bomber Group Heavy, and the 20th Combat Wing 2nd Air Division 8th Air Force. So he was a bomber. Like, he's flying bombing planes. Like, he's got a big job.
Wow.
Scary job.
That is very scary.
And he was stationed in Flixton, England, and that's where he obtained the rank of sergeant. But unfortunately, in April of 1945, his family received a letter from the War Department, which began, "We regret to inform you that..." So Gussie had been killed in action in Germany on April the 11th. He was a nose gunner on a B-24 Liberator, and had recently completed his 18th mission. So 18 different bombing missions he completed. And then what actually killed him was not even, he was killed in action, but he wasn't on a bombing mission when he was in he was on his way back to base, and there was a collision, which I'm going to talk about, that actually killed him rather than
So it wasn't in his bomber.
Well, I think he was in the plane, but it wasn't really like he was fighting at the time. So in a letter to his parents shortly before his death, he informed them that he had been awarded the Air Medal with 2 oak leaf clusters and the Purple Heart.
Yeah.
So he knew about that before he died. But he was killed in an aircraft accident while returning from a combat mission to home base. He was also eligible posthumously for the American Campaign Medal, the European African Middle Eastern Campaign Medal, at least 1 Bronze Star, and the World War II Victory Medal. And if you add to that the Air Medal and the Purple Heart, that's 6 awards.
Wow.
That are listed that we know of, that this guy, I mean, for being so young, he was only 19 years old when he died. Just a boy, went off to war.
Baby.
And
Jeez.
yeah, and did all of this, these amazing things for our country. And
Wow.
he was quite the guy. We got some pictures of him. Let's see a picture. Yeah, this is one here.
That's probably
Cute guy.
his senior picture.
I bet
or something.
it is. Yeah.
What
Yeah.
a cutie.
Yeah, but I like the other picture better. Let's look at it.
Wow.
Yeah, look how cute he was in his little bomber outfit. Yeah, great smile.
Yeah, 19.
Yeah, 19 years old, and his.
Wow.
So he was buried with full military honors at Cambridge American Cemetery in Cambridge, England. He was survived by his grieving parents and sisters. His parents passed away, but not. I don't know what year. I'll have to go back to I don't have that on this sheet. But his sister died more recently in 2005, so she lived a long, full life. But he had a friend in the U.S. Navy named James McBride, and he wrote a poem about Gussie, whom everyone called him Buddy too. He was his buddy. And it says that McBride now lives. This was written by Rena Lentz Thomas many years ago, but McBride was still alive at this time and lived in East Alton, where he retired in 1982 after 37 years with the Amoco Oil Refinery in Wood River. But this is the poem that he wrote, and he sent to Gussie's parents after Gussie passed away. Missing, one buddy named Gus. Hard words for me to say. Yes, more than you can know. I'll always miss him as the years come and go. For I liked Gus. To me, he was like a brother. And as for a buddy, I'll never find another. A more popular boy our town never knew. He was loved by everyone, not just a few. With his carefree way and that big happy smile, yes, I'll miss you, Gus, forever, not just a little while. He was the first to go from our class of 43, and why it happened is something beyond me. Many more may join him before we can all come home, for only he knows when our time has come. Gus gave his life because he loved his home, and he knew that in God is our trust. I was grieved to hear that his last mission had been flown, for now I'm missing one buddy named Gus. Isn't that sweet?
That is sweet.
So I guess James McBride was also a Flora boy and had graduated with him in 1943 and then went to war with him. And so he mailed that to his parents. So I believe that Gussie Haak's name is on the World War II memorial that is located in front of the Flora Library. Mm-hmm. His name is there. And then did I send more pictures related to this story, Ty? I think I did, about with his gravestone maybe. Yeah, let's go to those. Yeah, okay. This is a memorial in the cemetery where he's buried. It's a bomber memorial for all the men that died in that collision.
It was that, so that's common to bury them there? I mean,
overseas, some of them were, yeah. And there was a lot of people that were killed in this accident at once.
Okay.
Let's go to the other picture. This is his stone. No, this isn't. This is his dad's stone. And his dad, I believe, is buried in Ohio. Let me pull that up. Iowa. So his mom and dad ended up moving to Iowa, and this is his dad's stone, who didn't die until 1989. So you can see the dad, who was a World War I veteran, way outlived his son, who was the World War II veteran, and they are both buried in Iowa. But this is the stone of the former owner of the Flora greenhouse right here in Iowa. Okay, so let's see another one from the family. Okay, this is back to the memorial. This is the this is what is the sign on this memorial that they have in England. 446th Bomb Group, USAAF, dedicated to the memory of 22 crewmen who died in a mid-air collision over Flixton, 11th of April, 1945. B-24 Liberator 4250790 Little King, that was one plane, and then B-24 Liberator 4251909. We will remember them.
Wow.
So it kind of makes me think of that on-air collision that just happened a few month or two ago with the helicopter and the airplane over Washington, D.C. Like they just collided mid-air. Let's see in the next picture, please. This is his mother, and I thought, and she's also buried in Iowa. Again, former owner of the Flora greenhouse here, but Gold Star mother on her stone, and I think that's sweet. Yeah, so she didn't die until 1985.
Where'd you say she's buried?
Iowa.
Iowa.
Yep, he and her are both buried in Iowa, and then I think I have another picture of the. Yep, this is the memorial. We read a close up of the sign there, and I showed you the statue that's nearby. But this is a part of the memorial there in England, Flixton, England, for the ones that were killed in that mid-air collision. And it looks like there's another sign there. I don't have a close up of that, but it looks like it may contain photos of maybe some of the men killed or the planes. I'm not sure. Did I send any more photos? Oh yeah, this is August Stone there, which I think is a beautiful one in this cemetery. August Haak, Sergeant 706 Bomb Squad, 446 Bomb Group H, Illinois, April 11th, 1945. So yeah, just a kid really. And how hard on his parents, I can't imagine losing a child in any way, but to lose one at war and then to have them buried overseas. That's just sort of heartbreaking.
And then not even in battle.
Yeah, just an accident.
Just an accident.
Yeah. Is that the last photo, Ty? Yeah, okay. So that's sort of the story, a shortened story of Gussie Haak. We
need to take a commercial break, and then we'll come back and do another story.
Okay, we'll be right back.
If you're looking for a loan for your brand new home, call Clay County State Bank. If you want to transfer money so your future will look sunny, call Clay County State Bank.
We got checking and savings and bill pay too.
An online banking, just ask our crew. For all your banking needs, we think you will agree.
Clay County State Bank is the place you need to be.
Clay County State Bank.
Tomorrow. Some fear the uncertainty it brings. Some trust the promise it holds. At Grinnell Mutual, we are always looking forward to tomorrow, growing and innovating. So even if the plans you have for the future aren't the same as the plans that the future holds for you, you can be ready. Because we'll be ready, like we have been for over 100 years. Trust in that. Trust in tomorrow. Talk to your mutual agent today.
Your local agent is on the square. Louisville, Clay County, Farmers Mutual Insurance.
At Clay City Banking Company, we're all on the same team, regardless of zip code. At home, work, school, or across the country, you can be part of our team with our cutting-edge mobile banking products. From your hand, you can check balances, transfer money, make deposits, and pay bills. Looking for a loan? We've got you covered with our mortgage, agriculture, commercial, and consumer loans. Join our team today. Clay City, Flora, Louisville, and Fairfield Banking Companies. We're the hometown banks, member FDIC, and equal housing lender.
By the way, with Beth and Stacey. Uh-oh, got some crazy stuff happening. Oh my goodness, here we are. Yay, we're here. We don't know what happened.
It's happening again.
It just keeps happening.
I love it when crazy things happen. It makes me happy.
So we're not professionals. We're fine. Everything's fine.
It's all good. Everything's good. Just gave us a laugh.
Yeah, that's right. Okay.
I like it.
So I'm going to move on to another story. So I pulled out some Pauline Colburn stuff.
Oh, we like her. She's our hodgepodge, right?
She's a hodgepodge of little tidbits of information, and
Yep.
a lot of times she didn't finish her thoughts completely or follow up on things, but sometimes she did.
She's my spirit animal.
She's good. She did have a lot of interesting things in her column. So, let's see.
it.
Where am I going to start with this
I don't know
one?
where to go first.
I think I'm going to start with this because I think you might know. Maybe one person mentioned in this story or did when you were a kid. I'm not sure. There are certainly a few people who can thus be remembered, and I am grateful to the Goldens for this material, the Golden family. So, young Virgil, Little Doc Suggett. I guess they called him Little Dog. Little Doc.
Little Doc Suggett? Okay.
That was his name. He led a varied and interesting life. In addition to his projects, Mart Haycock Sr. tells me that that Suggett was once a partner of his father, the late John Haycock. Now, do you knew Mart?
I did. Mart Haycock was one of my father's best friends.
Okay, well, that's who this story
And he
comes
was
from.
my
Mart
kindergarten-
Haycock Sr. or Junior?
Junior.
This is Senior, I
Well,
guess.
So I knew Junior. He was my principal at seminary school.
Okay. All right. So the two owned and operated a small cafe known as the Dewdrop Inn. Okay, so this is this Little Doc and then John Haycock. These were the two owners. Dewdrop Inn. This was located at the west end of the South Side in the 100 block of West North Avenue.
Okay, I'm getting
So let's get our bearings.
Okay, I'm on the west end
The west end on the South Side
of the South Side.
in the 100 block. So that would be down near where Tangles is. Tangles near the Dairy Queen where the ATM is. That's the area we're talking about. There's
Right
a
there on the corner.
small cafe called the Dewdrop Inn.
Mm-hmm.
And the building was very small. It was made of metal and wood, and it did a thriving business. Among the specialties of the house were near beer.
No, it doesn't. It's beer, but it doesn't have alcohol.
Near beer. I'm forever going to call non-alcoholic beer near
beer.
I didn't never heard that before.
Really? That's what because I like to drink beer, and when I was pregnant, I drank near beer.
Did you?
I get a hankering, sorry.
Near beer and root beer. They would also serve root beer on tap.
Well, there you go.
Okay, so although Mart Sr. was only 12 years old at the time, he worked the night shift from 7 p.m. to 7 a.m.
I want to go
my
back to
Lance.
those days. I want kids to work.
Okay, Silas is 13, so just a few months ago, I had a 12-year-old child. I can't imagine sending him to work nights at a bar from 7 p.m. to 7 a.m. And then what? Was he supposed to go to school the next day?
Yeah, I would have killed him. He'd been fine. I was raised in a liquor store,
guess
so
what?
I won't go.
He wasn't fine.
He wasn't fine. What happened?
One night, he spilled a skillet of hot grease on his foot.
Ouch.
And he had to drag himself almost 3 blocks to the office of Dr. C.E. Duncan across from where the post office is now. So that old house that's there on the corner at one time was a doctor's office, or something that sat there was a doctor's office. I'm not sure. It was the same building. He had to drag himself from Tangles, where Tangles is, all the way down there with an extremely burnt foot in the middle of the night.
People were tougher back then than what they are now.
Poor kid. He's just a baby.
Fine. Probably had to go out and till the farm the next day.
So this is, then she leaves that story alone, and then she moves on to John Haycock.
That one's done.
Well, kind of. About John Haycock. He was an exceptional man. In addition to being a minister, he was among the best restaurateurs in this area. No place could you beat his hamburgers. They were 10 cents each, or you could get a meal for 50 cents or less.
I definitely want to go back to those times.
Yeah, no kidding. Edgar Hancock told me a story which I think my readers will enjoy, she says. I think she's changing the subject, but it's a good story. During Prohibition days, there was a man named Ashlock. Ashlock. He sounds like a bad guy in Outlander. Ashlock. He bought a farm between Flora and Xenia, and he moved there. His profession, which I didn't know this was really a profession, but I guess a lot of people made a lot of money on it, but was bootlegging. That was his profession.
Well, that sounds like somebody named Ashlock. would do.
Ashlock the bootlegger.
The bootlegger. Was he on South Mill Street?
Nope, he was on a farm between Flora and Xenia, and she says he was a very effeminate gentleman. What's the definition of effeminate?
Effeminate?
Yeah, Ty. This is how you spell it: EFFEMINATE.
Would that mean that he's a little bit on the girly side?
Well, that's how I'm taking it, but I'm going to
That's how
make
I'm
sure.
taking it. Effeminate.
But she also calls him a gentleman.
Well, yeah,
Well,
I bet
okay.
it'd be a little bit.
Characteristics or behavior traditionally associated with women.
Yeah.
Okay.
He's sissy.
Characteristics traditionally associated with
A
females.
bootlegging sissy.
Okay. He was a gentleman. But get this. To liven things up a bit,
Oh, Lord have mercy. Do I even want to know?
he imported some girls from East St. Louis.
So basically, he was a pimp.
Yes, he was. And did those gals ever
feminine-
liven up the place? They did. So much so, in fact, that it was raided by county officers one night.
Now, that's a fun story.
This is a fun story. This happened
It's a fun
right
story.
between Flora and Xenia at the Ashlock farm,
Mm-hmm.
where he was bootlegging and bringing in dancing girls from East St. Louis.
I like
He
it.
livened the place up. It was raided by county officers, and both Ashlock and the girls were taken into custody. As usual, the raid was the talk of the town the next day. Now, she doesn't
duh.
tell me a year for this. So,
Ooh, I wonder
again, some of these
Well,
historians
bootlegging would have been it'd been the
leave off
30s,
year.
right?
Late 20s, 30s, yeah.
Late 20s, 30s.
Yeah. But
Just
she doesn't
picture
say
it
picture it.
in your
Sicily,
mind.
1920.
Picture it, Sicily, 1929.
No, it's Flora or Xenia.
Flora, Xenia.
And yeah, so we've got some dancing girls, possible prostitution going on, some bootlegging, and Ashlock gets taken into custody, as do the women. Next day, everybody in town's talking about it, and there was a minister walking on the street in front of the old post office, which is now the Elks building, okay? So he's walking down Main Street in front of where the Elks is now, and he meets, let's see, where's that? Yeah, he met a
Keeping me in
super.
suspense.
Yeah, I know. I'm trying to make it so suspenseful. He met a supervisor on the sidewalk. I don't know. I guess they mean a county supervisor. I don't
Okay.
know. The minister said, "Hey, what do you think about that Ashlock affair? Isn't it awful?" The supervisor had heard nothing about the raid yet. Didn't know anything about it.
I bet he was at the raid.
So he asked for an explanation.
Uh-huh.
And so the minister goes, "Oh man, Ashlock was arrested last night. He was raided, and along with all those girls that worked for him," says the minister. Supervisor says, "Oh, did he have girls working there?" Minister says, "Oh yeah. He definitely had a lot of girls working there. You know, there was tons of girls." And the supervisor's like, "Really? What did they charge?" The minister says, $3. How did he know how much they charged? You guys, he threw himself under the bus.
Oh, the poor minister. God love him. Poor
$3.
$3.
$3 is what they charged. The supervisor goes, "Very reasonable. Very reasonable."
Okay, now this is
And then
supervisor nobody's talking about.
And then ambled on down the street. And then she goes on to say, "The names are withheld from this to avoid embarrassment."
So the supervisor's saying $3 is pretty reasonable.
Yeah,
How does he know it's reasonable?
exactly. They're both guilty.
We're all there.
Minister and county supervisor.
That's funny.
It is funny now, but like, what a terrible minister.
I wonder who he was the preacher for.
I don't know, because she withheld the names on purpose to avoid possible embarrassment.
Well, doggone it. Come on. I like it when they.
And
I
then
want everybody to
and
be
then this is how she ends it. Okay, this is how she ends her article. It is again completely changing the subject. That story we just talked about, she's done with it. She goes on to the next sentence and she's on to a different subject. And she says, "Why, I don't know, but I am reminded of the Obadiah Greenwood family." Okay, first of all,
So she
what
just
part of that
dissociated.
story? What part of that story reminded you of this other random story? Were they also into the bootlegging and prostitution? I don't know.
I just talked about a preacher and the superintendent and knowing what was going on with prostitution, and now it reminds me of your family.
Yeah, so now I'm thinking of the Obadiah Greenwood family, which I've never even heard of the name Obadiah Greenwood, but I like
We know
Obadiah.
Greenwood, but I like the name Obadiah too.
Yeah, it makes me think Amish, but okay. They used to live in West Flora near the railroad tracks. When, in some manner, one of their windows was broken, they would stuff a pillow in it. Usually, their house looked like a big pile of pillows than anything else. With that, happy memories. She signs off. That's how she signs off on every article. With that, happy memories. That's the end of the article. Just random. Now, if you are a Greenwood and you're like, oh crap, Obadiah was my great grandpa, like she's not worried about libel or whatever. Like she's just like she calls it. By the way, she's gonna call it like she sees it. If you got pillows in your window because you broke the window and you can't afford new glass and you're shoving some pillows in there, she's gonna call you on it. Just know you're gonna end up in the Flora Daily News record.
I love this woman.
Yeah,
She's fantastic, but we're going to take a commercial break,
Okay.
then you're going to finish up with another story.
Okay, we'll be right back.
Do you bowl like this? That's great. Do you bowl like this? That's great too. That's because whether you're a pro or you just want to have a lot of fun, at Peggle's Silver Dollar Lanes, we have a lane for you. We have galaxy bowling, gaming for kids and adults, Joe's Pizza, a full bar, darts, pool, and fresh and clean bowling shoes. Boy, does that smell nice. So come on down to Peggle Silver Dollar Lanes in Effingham, where we have a lane for you.
My name is Robin Stanford. I own Stanford Marketing. It's a promotional products business along with an embroidery business. And we do custom hats, t-shirts, anything, you name it, we can make it. People like that we do stuff in-house and we can actually make things here and that we're not contracting the work out to other places. We never say no. We always try to find a way to do it. If anybody can do it, we can do it. We are hardworking women, that is for sure. Come to Stanford Marketing in Flora for all your custom and promotional needs.
Give me order lumber. Doors, paint, windows, electrical, plumbing, and much more. Oh yeah, give me all your guns too.
John Lucas,
What?
you better be dreaming about all the stuff we sell here at Zink Building Center.
Oh, I would. Zink Building Center in Louisville on Route 45. It's a cool place.
Welcome back to By the Way with Beth and Stacey. I'm Beth Cooper, and that's Stacey Earlywine, and we're trying to keep her as quiet as possible because she is losing her voice or has lost it. It's actually coming back now.
coming back.
But it's weak.
Saturday night was rough.
Yeah, Saturday night she couldn't talk. She was on vocal rest. And all day Sunday you were on vocal rest.
I didn't even speak Sunday.
Yeah, it was, I can't imagine how difficult that was for her.
It was horrible for me, glorious for Jim. Apparently.
Yeah.
He enjoyed Saturday and Sunday.
Mm-hmm. Yes, so I'm talking about some Pauline Colburn articles, and this one I found interesting because she's talking about house moving and picking up and moving houses, which is pretty uncommon nowadays, but it used to be fairly more common back then.
Well, the oldest house in town there on North Main Street was moved, remember? The oldest house that Eddie Perry owns. We did a show on that one. Yep, it was moved.
Yeah, so...
And then added on to.
While moving a house down East Washington Avenue to its new location on West Washington Avenue at the northwest corner of South Main Street. Now, this is your neighborhood.
Oh, that's where I'm at.
Okay, so it's now sitting on the northwest corner of South Main and West Washington. So if you Main and Washington and the northwest
I'm getting
is that well, I'll tell you whose house, the Scarboroughs.
Yeah, but I remember when the Scarboroughs built that house.
Okay, so there was
a house there prior
that had been moved there.
Right where the lumberyard, the Scarborough's house is right there. But that's not the house, because that house,
it had to be a different one. This was written in 1977. And
I don't know, we'll have to ask Brian.
Okay. She said she watched the progress of the building from in front of her apartment until the house was located. The next morning, I walked to the spot to make sure I wasn't seeing things. She says a truck-like apparatus was used to move the house, which had first been raised by jacks, and at the end of its journey, it was left on jacks. A neighbor near the home's new location said house moving still is quite common, but it's been more years than I can remember when I had seen it done. In the early 1900s, to move a house was a frequent occurrence. Many homes were interspersed with mercantile buildings in the 4 blocks of North Avenue, which now comprise Flora's business district. So you don't think about that, but our downtown area had homes interspersed in between the businesses. We've talked about all the businesses downtown over the years. We've talked about the 60s, the 70s. We went way back in the early 1800s and named all the businesses that were there all through the years. We've talked about that on other episodes. But what we don't recognize is that in the early 1900s, like even before the current depot was built, like there were still homes on that street too. Main Street. Like through our business
block, the business district.
And that's where the first home was. Macaulay, not Macaulay, Sam White had his first home was where the bank was. It was a log cabin, but this is later on after him. But anyway, eventually all of the houses were moved out of the way to make room for more businesses. So according to her, they moved those homes and didn't just tear them down. They moved them
places.
She said basements were few back then, so the house is lifted from its foundation and placed on jacks. Long, round logs were then put under the building, and 2, 4, 6, or more horses, depending on the size of the house, were hitched to it. As the house rolled off the back log, that log was immediately moved and placed in front of the moving building. So to be moved, a house must be structurally strong. I've heard that brick buildings cannot be moved, but she doesn't know if that's true or not. I would guess that would be true, that you can't move a brick building. I would assume
because you're going to have to, the wood's going to have a little give and take. I would think a brick building would snap.
One classic example of house moving was the C.H. Greenwood home, which stood on the northwest corner of West North Avenue and North Elm. Okay, so that would be Dairy Queen. Dairy Queen. It would be the northwest corner. Right, so that would be where the gas
company's place is at now, right? Or where?
No. It would be west. It would be where Beck's car dealership is.
Oh, right on Main Street. Oh, okay.
Yeah, West North Avenue and North Elm.
Okay. Yep.
The northwest corner. Yep. It was a large house, but was moved intact to the 200 block on West 2nd Street, where it now serves as a convalescent home. Now, she wrote this in 1977. So what house on what I have a feeling this house on West 2nd isn't even there anymore either. I think by now it's probably been torn down, because I can picture the 200 block of West 2nd, and I can't picture any house that's large enough that would have served as a convalescent home.
Not on West 2nd, no.
Yeah. She says, as usual, a house being moved called for a number of what she has in quotes, sidewalk superintendents, who offered suggestions along with a number of quips. So apparently people would go stand on the sidewalk and tell everyone that's doing it what they're doing wrong and how to do it better.
Armchair quarterbacks.
Yes, sidewalk supervisors, she calls them.
Yeah, I could
superintendents, sidewalk superintendents,
theater supervisors. Song supervisor. I can think of all sorts of supervisors.
There's always somebody that knows a better way. Speaking of sidewalk superintendents, reminds me of the late Sam Bryden, a well-known Flora building contractor. Sam obtained a bunch of buttons on which were printed in big letters the words sidewalk superintendents.
Funny.
To anyone who passed by or stood a while to watch the building project and made any suggestion, Sam handed that person a button. That's hilarious.
I love Sam. I don't know who he is, but I like him now.
It was his Norman Bryden's dad.
Oh, that's funny.
I think his son Norman Bryden carried on that tradition for a while after his father's death.
That's awesome, by the way.
Yeah, that's hilarious. So I can only think of like one house I know of in my lifetime that was moved, and that was it was a former school. It stood in Horde, but George and Shirley Van Dyke lived in it for years. It's on Route 45, close to the county line. It was a big gray 2-story house that stood there. They now have like a modular home there instead.
Oh yeah.
And the garage, you know where that is? You know,
I think I know
George
where
and
you're
Shirley.
Mm-hmm. But I know the more you talk about it, the more homes have been moved. You just don't realize it. And I'm trying to think of somebody, because I want to do a story on their house. It'll come to me later. But part of their house was moved and then added on to, and it's in town. For the love of me, I can't remember. I write so much stuff down.
Yeah. Well, that pretty much wraps up the story of house moving, but then she goes on to talk about the census in Clay County.
The what?
The censuses over the time. the federal census of Clay County in 1830.
Yeah, what was it?
For the whole county, it showed 140 households, and it was noted that there were 775 souls in total. I like
Really?
that they use the word souls instead of
Souls.
people. 775 souls lived here.
Well, you
Yep.
gotta like it.
So, I don't know. She's got more stuff on census information over the years. I think I'll save that for another show.
Might as well.
Because that's kind of interesting. I don't have time to cover it all. But, yeah, you can always depend on Pauline Colburn for some little tidbits. And
She's pretty good.
Yeah. Thanks to Don Thomas for letting me borrow that book, which I do plan to give back eventually. But it's got so many good little tidbits in there that you don't find elsewhere. And she's just sort of, and a lot of her stuff, like I've said on other shows, I can pull just a little bit, but it's not enough to make a whole show. So I have to pull several of her articles to get one whole show out of it. Did you find it?
Yeah, it's Chris Engelmeyer's.
Chris Engelmeyer's house.
They're
okay.
on South Locust.
South
and
Locust.
I talked to her. She was in the shop the other day getting her hair done.
Uh-huh.
And I was talking. I said, because her house is really cute.
Uh-huh.
And it's old.
Yeah.
And so I talked to her the other day, and it's like, oh, she's like, yeah, part of it was moved.
Huh, no
from
kidding.
one location.
Where was
so
it moved from?
I don't know. We didn't get into it too
Oh,
much.
okay.
She was going to do some research on it.
Yeah, we'll have to do a show on that sometime. Hopefully
Definitely.
she finds the information. So anyway, that's the end of the Pauline Colburn story. But we always end the show with something silly or funny or stupid. And this is a stupid book.
These are stupid books. This is, here's your sign.
Here's your stupid sign. So give me one.
I took my family on a trip in an RV to Las Vegas, where it was 120 degrees. The guard at the RV park asked, "Will you be using your air conditioner?" I said, "No, ma'am. We just drove in from the face of the sun and we're trying to acclimate ourselves."
That's like the best one. That's really funny.
No.
Just drove in from the face of the sun.
Yeah,
I like Bill Engvall. That's
I do
funny.
too. He's funny.
All right. You have time for one more?
Yeah, let's do one more. My wife and I were shopping in a department store, and I had 3 pairs of pants on my arm. The salesperson asked, "Do you want to try those on?" I said, "Nope, I'm just trying to keep my arm warm."
Here's your
He's
sign.
funny.
He is
Here's
funny.
your sign.
Here's your sign.
Here's your
Oh,
sign.
gosh. Well, as always,
That's
you can
fun.
find us on Wabash Channel 100 daily at 11, or Monday through Friday at 11 a.m. and again at 3. You can also find us on YouTube. Just type in Beth and Stacey on YouTube. Our channel will pop up. Click on that, and you can find our videos. And you can also like and follow us on Facebook. That pretty much ends it for today. So thank you so much for joining us, and we will catch you next time.
God bless you and have a great day.